All right, thank you for letting me come in yesterday and watch your lesson. I really enjoyed watching the lesson yesterday. What do you think went well with the lesson?
I think, especially at the beginning of the lesson, most students were, when they were on the carpet, were good listeners, and my very short mini lesson, especially because we kind of talked about this a little bit before, a little bit of review, they were, I thought for the most part, the beginning, pretty good listeners, and did fairly well with the manipulatives, which sometimes can be a little tricky in first grade.
Is there anything that you think could have gone better?
There were a few times where, like, I expected them to be sitting in a circle, or I asked them to sit in a circle, and oh wait, I meant a semicircle. So there were a few things that I wish I would have done a little bit differently with that. A few things with the manipulatives when we traded the dominoes with our partner. Again, we've done this a few times, and there's always going to be struggles, but that kind of took a little bit away from the lesson, from continuing it to flow nicely, because just a little whoopsie there. But
okay, so based on that, what do you think you'll do? Like, if you had the opportunity to teach this lesson again, what would you do differently?
I would, when it went to that piece where they were getting up, I would tell them, before we even came to the carpet, I would have had them get their notebooks ahead of time and their pencils, so that we didn't have to take that break to get up, go get our things, and that transition, and to make sure I instruct to sit in the semicircle so they could see the smartboard on my card there. Yep.
What do you think? What did your students learn from this lesson? Like, did you feel like they understood what you were trying to with the community of property and how it flips, how you flip the domino? Do you feel like most of the students understood what you were trying to do?
I feel most of them, yes. There are a couple that that is something that we're still kind of reviewing, but I think for the most part that the students did.
And what do you base that on? Like,
they did the worksheet on their own, and I was walking around and correcting and working, but I also did collect those and look at those last night, and most of the students did very well with that.
And while you were teaching, did you have to alter anything as far as, like, if they were the ones that were struggling, like, what did you do to help them out?
There were a few where I did have to take a little bit longer and stop and correct or talk to them, or, you know, turn their domino for them, and a few things like that, but nothing major.
So you just helped remodel and help refocus them.
Yes.
How engaged how do you think the engagement of the class went throughout? Like you did, your set lesson was divided into 3 different parts. You had the mini lesson, then the practice on the carpet, and then the practice at the seat, independent practice at the seat.
I would, for the most part of this class, how they are with other things, and while fairly engaged for this, there's always some that struggled a little bit, a couple specific students, but most of those that were struggling with this are challenges to keep focused as well. But for the most part, I thought fairly.
I also thought the same thing, because like you had asked me to watch kind of for the student engagement, so I had drawn a little diagram for each of the things, and on the carpet everyone seemed very with you, very engaged. I just noticed that you had to speak to Caden in particular multiple times, and like you noticed when he was off task, and so you immediately addressed it, and you immediately got him refocused. And so I was like, okay, I'll watch him for her on the next part. Yep. And so on the part when they moved to the semicircle around the carpet, again, he was your one that you're having to redirect, or he's doing things that aren't as focused and as engaged as the other students. And I also noticed when they went to their desks, you had to give him a few pointers, but he did actually do better at his desk rather than he did at the carpet. Yep. Also, I kind of tracked how you rotated around the classroom, and you did a very good job of, I liked how you made sure to touch base with every single student in the classroom, and then the ones that needed extra help or needed redirection, you were always on top of it. You knew exactly that they were there, and Kenny over here on the end, he was having a little bit more fun, interacting with the students. Yep. But like I said, you saw that right away, and you went and redirected, gave him re-instructions, and so I felt like overall, based on what I observed, the students were very engaged, and then those who weren't, you were very aware of and addressing right away. Based on what you know from the lesson, what are you considering next? Like you talked about, or in the that you were going to be working on addition over the next couple weeks. Will you continue to use the dominoes, or what's the next step with the community of property?
We'll just continue building off of that, just as far as just addition, adding, larger numbers. Next week we'll be using more math tools like number lines and things like that. Strategies, I guess is a better word, for addition. And then the community property is one of those. We'll probably just occasionally be talking about that as they're doing work on their own. They like the word flip flop, and they bring that up a lot. That's a flip flop, and just something in our daily interaction when we're adding, we'll be talking about.
I really did like how you did that too, because you could tell they absolutely loved the idea of a flip flop, and so it helped that big word commutative property be more make sense to them, in their minds and stuff. Is there any talk about how you set up your classroom in order to be able to have each of those 3 parts of the lesson?
We are lucky enough in our building to have the big carpet with the sections, so each student has their own special spot, is what we call it in here. So when I was doing my mini lesson, that they're able to be in that spot. We've also just established the routines of the hands and eyes. That means serious business, time to listen. And I talk about what a mini lesson is. It's my turn to teach a little bit, and then we'll practice. So that they have the routine down very much. And then I also love the rug where we sit on the outside so we can see each other. And then the way that my desks are set up, kind of like tables, so it's almost like a giant L, that I like that we're able to walk around, have lots of room to walk and see each other, and just kind of opens up the room for that as well.
Is there anything else regarding your professional practice that you would relating to this lesson that you would like to talk about?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, thank you again so much for letting me come in. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.